from each happily ever after, every wish upon a star. Let's break down the movies that shaped who we are, from memory lane to now and everything in between. The most famous of films to the ones we've never seen. Decade by decade, all the times we laughed and cried, and with a little pixie dust, they will all take flight, reliving the feelings, and we're trying our very best. And if they mean the same to you, please be our guest. So hop aboard, we would love to have you as we hang with a certain mouth, the whole gang too. If you love nostalgia stuff, we hope this does the trick. Thanks for joining us as we deep dive the magic.
Hi, and welcome back to the Deep Diving the Magic podcast. I'm KJ.
And I'm Jeffrey. And we are back today with the 71st Disney feature-length film from June the 4th, 1964. It is a film called The Three Lives of Thomasina. Have you heard of The Three Lives of Thomasina before we dove into it today?
No, and I can tell you I wasn't looking forward to it just by hearing the name.
Yeah? Did it sway? Actually,
the name didn't give.
We'll get back into it.
Yeah, the name didn't give anything away to it. I for some reason, I guess in my mind, I was thinking something like John Cena, and I was like, oh, what kind of guy are we going to follow around in this?
Because I thought you can't see him, so
I thought it was two names. I didn't realize it was one name when you kept saying.
Yeah. So the Three Lives of Thomasina is a live action film. It is based on the 1957 novel by Paul Gallico entitled Thomasina, the Cat Who Thought She Was God. There is some familiar faces and some faces that will become familiar faces in this film. Mm-hmm. For instance, there's some people that were in the film Greyfire's Bobby that we watched, some people that were in the film Almost Angels that we watched, and the children from an upcoming film titled Mary Poppins. The Banks children are also in this film. Would you like to start us off with a synopsis?
Thomasina the cat brings a family together through her mysterious death and reappearance.
And that's the film. Any did you find any facts about it before we start, or did you want me to just go ahead?
So IMDb's rating. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Did I find anything? I don't think I found anything.
All right. So do you want to go ahead and just jump right in, and then
Sure.
we'll cross it as we go?
Yep.
All right. So we start off with the opening credits, and there's a song about Thomasina the cat. We see a brownish orange cat. What kind of cat was it?
It was an orange tabby.
Okay, it was an orange tabby. And we find out that we're in Scotland.
Mm-hmm. Again.
Of course we are. Right away, the cat starts talking. More like thoughts in her head that everybody can hear, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Like her lips aren't moving or anything. She's just...
You're inside her head.
Yeah. You're just hearing her thoughts. She says, "Yes, I am Thomasina, and this is a story all about me." And then we learned that first her name was Thomas, and they found out that she was a girl, so she became Thomasina. Mm-hmm. And then there's a gentleman named Andrew, his daughter Mary, and then the housekeeper whose name is Mrs. Mackenzie. That's who is the owners of Thomasina. Mm-hmm. So it's Mary's cat. The housekeeper, obviously, because his gentleman Andrew's wife had passed away. Mary's mother had passed away a couple years ago, and the Andrew is a veterinarian. Mm-hmm. Right, we're up to date.
Yep.
All right. We also meet a townsboy named Georgie. He'll be playing a part in this film, and again, this is where we learn that Andrew is a very stern veterinarian. He doesn't have a cheery outlook on things. Right. Andrew won't look at the frog that Georgie found, and he puts down, what was it?
A lady's dog.
A lady's dog, yeah. So he's already getting a bad rep about not being a caring vet.
Yeah, they said that he doesn't care about pets. He only cares about livestock.
I mean, Makes sense.
I guess.
No, not like obviously it's not good for him to be in the profession.
Well, you later find out he didn't really want to be in the profession,
It's
so
true. It's true.
he wanted to be a doctor.
So Georgie finds this frog, and Andrew won't look at the frog. He sends him away. So
Frog has a broken leg.
yep. So he and the two older boys take the dying frog to go see an old witch lady that they heard about in the woods.
Yeah.
Like they get scared multiple times while walking in the woods to go see this old witch lady.
Mm-hmm.
They arrive at a little house in the woods and they hear someone singing. And they convince Georgie to go up and like put the frog by the front door and ring the doorbell.
Mm-hmm.
But then we see a lovely and cheery looking young lady who says some joking witch spells for the boys to see and laughs as she runs into the house.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on the not so scary witch lady?
I enjoyed her, and that is my goal in life, to be the scary witch lady in the town when I grow older. I'm trying to develop that now.
She's
but
a lot
for,
like Miss Honey from Matilda.
Yeah, but I would love to be someone like that character in my neighborhood, especially around the like with our neighborhood being so big with trick-or-treaters. I hope they think that of me and they pass that along, and then their grandchildren, as long as I live here, they're like, oh, that's a scary little lady's house.
You're horrible. So
I would help animals.
So the boys run away because they think it's a witch. The boys end up telling tall tales of the witch lady to Mary, who was playing with her cat Thomasina.
Mm-hmm.
The housekeeper hears this story. She ends up telling Andrew and Mary that the witch is actually a young lady named Laurie McGregor. So we're back to the McGregor name, which we've known a lot throughout our drives. Thomasina decides that she's going to go on an adventure, and she goes down to the docks to find herself some fresh fish for breakfast.
It's Wednesday.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. So it was Wednesday, and
Is that Fresh Fish Day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why she didn't spend the night.
Nope. She goes down to the docks, looking for fresh fish for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
She escapes some chasing dogs in the process, but then in the morning, Mary's upset because Thomasina never came back home this morning.
And she always comes back home.
So Mary and Mrs. Mackenzie go to try to find Thomasina, but Georgie, the friend, does find Thomasina, but she's stiff.
I literally thought the cat was dead and she was in rigor mortis.
I mean, she was stiff. They kept saying she was stiff.
Yeah, but when we watched it, I think I accidentally let out a laugh because I was like, that is like not a real cat, because it is like completely dead. Like you could throw it and it wouldn't move.
Well, I mean the cat.
So I expected it to already be dead, but apparently this cat is still alive.
Yep, which we'll learn out more in a second.
Yeah.
So they take it to who else but the father veterinarian, but at the same exact time, this blind gentleman who's been walking around through the town, his dog, who's kind of like a seeing eye dog, unfortunately is hit by a car. Mm-hmm. So Andrew has to go into emergency surgery to attempt to save it. At first he was like, nope, you can't save it. Nope, it's a lost cause. But the people of the town were like, you have to save it. They're
like, it's his eyes.
Yeah.
Like, you have to. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, is this a really good seeing eye dog if it was about to lead the man out into the road and get hit by a car?
Well, so Andrew has to go into emergency long surgery to try to save the dog. At the same time, Mary storms in to have her dad look at Thomasina, but he sends her away because the dog is in surgery. They sends the kids.
He takes the cat from her though.
Yeah,
he says, "I'll look at her later."
He does say that the after the kids are gone, he does say that the cat is hopeless because Thomasina has tetanus.
Yes, I was very, very, very confused.
Well, they don't know. I mean, obviously, during the time frame, they don't know what tetanus is. So
Well, they do, because he obviously knew she had it and that it could be, and at that point, it was probably more of a problem causer.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's what caused her to be stiff and to be locked up in the position she was. Um, but he basically tells the assistant, after putting her to sleep or whatever, make sure like you wash everything, because we don't want to like pass that along to anything. My thing is, in the scuffle, she had ran up some boxes. The dogs ran up the boxes and knocked them down. And then she was found under the boxes.
How'd she get tetanus?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I know it can live on the ground. But like usually, like I guess like during this time frame, they tell you like it's mostly picked up by like rusty things or whatever. But it definitely can live on the ground, but I feel like it has to have some kind of an opening to get in. Like that's why they say like if you get cut or something by a rusty nail, obviously that was an entryway in. So I was like, well, what kind of entryway did this cat have?
They had a long
an
night,
injury.
So they had a long night, so
I don't know. I was very confused.
Well,
but then I wondered like how they thought they put her to sleep. Do you think that they thought they killed her because she had tetanus and she wasn't really dead? She just wasn't looking like she was breathing because she was still like locked up from everything.
No, they put her to sleep.
I know, but
okay, we'll get there. So after a successful surgery on the dog, Andrew then has to tell Mary the bad news about having to put Thomasina out of her pain.
Had to put tetanus.
No. So Thomasina had to be put down and put out of her pain. Oh yeah, I'm the bad one. Look at you over here laughing about this cat dying. So Mary is very emotional. She's upset with her father, so she runs away. And then to cheer her up, the town kids discuss that they're going to throw Thomasina the perfect funeral. They're going to take all the tips that they've ever learned from people's funerals, and they're going to throw this cat the perfect funeral.
Yeah. To make sure the entire town sees.
Yep, they're going to do this whole entire. Well, we'll get there. This whole entire procession and everything. But at the same time, it cuts to another scene where we see Thomasina. She's flying through she's flying to what appears to be the afterlife. She walks up this long, sparkling staircase, and we see a cat goddess with golden eyes in a room full of cats, who sends Thomasina back to her body because we all know that cats have multiple lives.
Yeah,
is that a good way to describe that scene?
Cat has 9 lives, and her time is not over, so she sends her back to her body. But she's been buried. But
the kids don't know that. Well, not yet. But the kids don't know that yet. But
no, she's been buried.
So then it cuts to like it flips to Thomasina's in a box surrounded by flowers in a procession to this funeral. There's bagpipes. The town people.
Hang on, this is one of my favorite parts because
you're a horrible person and you want the cat to be buried.
No, because this is the time where Thomasina is re-entering her body, and she describes it as she was asleep, but she's surrounded by the strong smell of flowers. Yeah. And then music that could wake the dead.
Yeah, the bagpipes are playing.
And I was like, literally, they are waking the dead.
The townspeople are all watching this funeral. They're to mourn the beloved cat. But at this point, word is also getting around that Mary's father wouldn't save the cat, and Andrew is not a good person, and gossip is traveling. So they begin the burial ceremonies. But at the same time, we also see Laurie McGregor, obviously the so-called witch. She's watching on.
Nope.
She's watching the singing, and then after the kids go away, after they quote unquote bury this cat, the kids see her, so they all run away scared because she's a witch. So then Mary,
including Mary,
yes, and then Laurie runs to Thomasina to find out that her heart is still beating and takes the cat with her. So the cat at this point is now back alive, but the kids don't know this because they buried her. But the
But
witch.
they didn't bury her like in a traditional sense, like Pet
No.
Cemetery. It was legit in a box,
Mhm.
and then they started just surrounding the box with rocks.
Mhm.
And then they must have had a big enough rock that just set over it that didn't crush the cat. I don't know. It was a very interesting
So Lori,
way
the
to
quote unquote
bury
witch,
her.
takes Thomasina with her to like nurse her back to health.
Mhm.
And then it cuts back to Mary, who was talking about her day and the funeral to the housemaid,
Mhm.
but she's blatantly ignoring her father. She's proclaiming that her father is dead, like she has nothing to do with this dude at all.
Mhm.
Um,
Should have just saved his daughter's cat.
the town's kids at this point stand outside of Andrew's veterinary practice to tell everybody coming not to take their pets there if they want them to live. So like it is a strong all hands on deck against this veterinary practice now.
He wouldn't even save his daughter's cat.
No, so
you don't want to take your animal there.
This like the spreading of the word is taking over the whole town. So Andrew is like, we got to do something. My daughter won't talk to me. So
but at this point, the vet is completely unaware that the children are doing this.
So he's like, well, my daughter's not talking to me. So he sends the Reverend, who's the guy from Greyfriars Bobby, to try to speak to Mary. But she, at that point, reminds the Reverend that her father's dead. So like,
and she's completely alone.
He's serious.
Yeah.
I mean, she's serious. But at this point, Andrew is also finding out that his previous clients are bringing their pets to the lady in the Glen, the quote unquote witch, Laura McGregor, because obviously she helped save the frog, and she has a good, caring way about her, and that, so he's like, oh no, I'm not only am I lost my daughter, I'm losing my clients, my practice. Right? Same thing there. Or?
Yeah, she doesn't know what she's doing. I have to stop her from doing all this.
Yeah. He's very much like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So then it cuts to Thomasina, who's mending back to health, but Thomasina cannot remember her first life. She can't remember her first life.
She keeps thinking like something is familiar, something's off, but like you said, doesn't recall exactly what that is.
Yep. She has no idea. So, but she knows that her new life is with Lori and all of the animals. In the meantime, the town's kids find this badger who's trapped in like a bear trap type deal. But they refuse to take it to Andrew. So they decide to bring it to the witch instead. And at the same time, Thomasina is like watching this from like a nearby tree, and she recognizes their voices but doesn't understand how. So like this is where she started to like slowly remember her whole life, because she like recognizes these boys' voices from the cemetery.
Familiar about them.
Yep. So again, they like sneak over to try to put this badger in front of the witch's house to like run away scared. So Lori is trying to help this badger, and at the same time, Andrew shows up to confront her. And they argue over the care of the wounded badger. Andrew's like, don't take care of that. It's a lost cause. And she's like, no, I have to take care of it.
If you do that, it'll tear you up.
Yeah.
Da, da, da.
So they argue over that. But then Lori, then realizing who Andrew is, says that he has the skills that she doesn't have. Like basically he's medically trained, she just has compassion. So like they each have parts that other people don't have. So she starts to beg him to help.
Yeah, and she explained to him that when she saw the badger and the state that the badger was in, that she prayed that God would send her a way to take care of the badger, and then he showed up, and he was the way to take care of the badger. So this was a sign that he's here for a reason.
That's right. And then Andrew actually decides to assist with the badger, and he helps. And with some help from Lori and her warmth of love, they are able to like mend up this badger's leg. And at the same time, Thomasina also slightly remembers the man that she saw. She's like, I know that guy.
He looks very familiar.
He looks very familiar. She doesn't know that. But
actually, he's technically not the one.
but the boys the town boys are like convinced that since Andrew's there, he killed this badger. So they're like, all right, they're like, we're gonna sneak up and we're gonna look in the window.
He probably killed him.
Yeah.
While he was in there.
So they had to like climb up and like look into the witch's window to like see if he killed the badger. The kids get scared by a dog, causing Georgie to fall from the window, and Georgie hurts his leg. But he's afraid.
Georgie gets his legs stuck in like the top of a box that he was standing on, and somehow tries to run off with the box still stuck to his leg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he's like scared of the witch.
Mm-hmm.
But she comes out to reassure him that it's okay.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you're the one that dropped off the frog. Do you want to go in the house to see that the frog is all better?"
Mm-hmm.
So she takes him into the house.
Your name is da da da. How do you know my name?
Georgie.
The vet mom told her.
Actually, he probably did.
He did,
because he was like, "Watch out for this kid" or whatever.
Yeah, he brought this frog in. That's why she was like, "Oh, you're Georgie, huh?"
Well, she also like saw them when they were dropping off the animals.
But she didn't know who he was.
Yeah. Lori tells Georgie that Andrew was the one that helped cure the badger. So Georgie's like, "Oh, you put a spell on him to make him help her, like make him help you?" And she's like, "No," even though she kind of plays along to it.
Mm-hmm. Magic.
And then at this point, Andrew's still trying to like get through to Mary. He like decides like he like returns with like a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
But again, she refuses her father's attempts. Anything on that? Anything on that? What kind of puppy was it?
It was a cute little puppy. I don't know exactly the breed of the puppy, but it was adorable.
Yeah.
And if I was her, I would have taken the puppy and walked away and told the puppy. Now, if only my cat would come back. I don't know how you came from a dead man.
Yeah, that's true.
How are you going to turn away a puppy?
I mean, she doesn't believe in her dad anymore.
I know, but he still could have been a dead dad.
I guess. So Andrew does continue to visit Lori and her animal patients. And at this point, he like in their conversation, he does open up about his deceased wife, and that's why he doesn't believe in anything anymore. He doesn't believe in faith. He doesn't believe in anything anymore because of his deceased wife.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So,
because she helped during some kind of, I don't know, like famine or plague, and ended up contracting whatever from the people she was taking care of.
Yeah.
And also died.
But it's at this point that Thomasina decides to follow Andrew. And she just instinctively remembers the way to the house. And then this is where a Disney rainstorm starts. And then somehow she instinctively remembers to climb up to Mary's window in the pouring rain. But Mary sees her and gets all excited. But Thomasina gets scared because she doesn't recognize Mary. So she takes off running back to her house in the pouring rain. So Mary gets up and runs after her in the storm, like out the window, or no, down the house, out the door, like tries to find her cat because she doesn't know what's going on, and she's hopeless and scared. And so then the next morning, Andrew finds a shoeless, like soaked girl in her pajamas. Mary, she's lying in the street screaming for the cat. The doctor comes over and says that Mary has pneumonia. And she like doesn't have any, like she has pneumonia and no will to live, basically. So the Reverend comes back over and tries to convince Andrew to pray over the sick child. This is where he talks about how he doesn't believe in faith anymore because of his wife and everything. So the Reverend wants him to pray over the child. And then the scene cuts to Lori's witch cabin. Thomasina is returning from the rain with, like, again, no recollection of Mary. And then randomly, this is a pretty heavy moment of the scene. Pretty heavy moment of the film. it cuts to the next scene where it just randomly cuts to a circus coming to town. And the town's kids are they sneak over to watch them practice. But they see that like they're whipping a horse and they're abusing a small bear to dance. So they're like, these people are abusing their animals.
And the animals aren't in good shape already.
Yeah. So they run back to Mary's house. A, they want to check on Mary, and B, they want to tell Andrew about the animal.
Well, actually, they ran into the police first, and they reported the animal abuse to the policeman. And he said, I can't do anything about it unless somebody with the authority tells me, like Dr.
Yeah, Andrew.
And he's like, oh. So then that's when they go to Mary's house to check on Mary and then tell him about the circus and how they're treating the animals and ask him to go check it out.
But he's like, I can't really do anything.
Because he's basically just waiting for his daughter to be
distraught
okay.
over his daughter.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, fine. So then they go and tell the witch lady. And then also Andrew, because he knows how much compassion she has, goes to Laurie as well. Just like ask for any sort of help bringing back his daughter, but she's
not there.
She's not there. But again, Thomasina sees him looking helpless, sparking more memories. We see that Laurie is checking on the animals at the circus.
And the whole time, this cat is just in the background.
Mm-hmm.
The dad never sees the cat. No. Do you know how much more quick we could have come to the end of this movie had the dad seen the cat in the beginning?
But I mean, Thomasina does see him looking helpless, so we see that we see that Laurie is checking on the animals. And then what I thought was funny is the boys are just like there watching the circus. Like after reporting these cruelty earlier, they just like paid to watch the circus.
Yeah, I thought that was very hypocritical of them. Like how are you, unless they were just going there to make sure the animals weren't going to be used. Maybe. I don't know. To see if their efforts paid off.
But Laurie ends up getting in the cage with the animals to try to like help them. But the circus leader like forces Laurie to perform in the animal's spot, threatening her with a whip. Again, really tense scene. Andrew shows up to step in to fight for Laurie and the animals, and like a big fight breaks out, causing a fire to like light from like a lantern, and like pretty much the circus catches on fire. But the cops also come, and he like turns in the people, and the circus leader gets arrested for animal cruelty. Is that pretty much everything up to date?
Mm-hmm.
All right, just a more stressful Dumbo, because didn't that catch on fire too?
Well, the new version.
Well, we'll get there. So they end up arresting the circus leaders. He pleads for Laurie to come back and like bring her magic for her and the sick to help his daughter. And he admits that what he did to Thomasina, her cat, and that he's prayed for her and everything. And she's like, "What name did you just say?" But they don't have time to like discuss that really.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, we're watching this with my family, and they're also getting emotional watching this film. But
mm-hmm.
Laurie ends up coming to the house to visit the sick and like willless. I don't know if the word. She has no will to live. Mary. There's a doozy of a Disney storm happening outside, and it cuts to Thomasina at the witch's house, and like a lightning strike comes and like hits like a tree near her, which instantly just sparks her whole entire memory.
Mm-hmm.
And then once again, the cat.
She's afraid and voices that she cannot be alone anymore.
Nope. And so she has her whole entire memory back. So the cat makes the voyage through the rain up to Mary's house. And then Thomasina climbs up to the window, and Mary wakes up screaming for Thomasina. And the two adults realize that they're both played a part in the same cat at this point. They're like, wait, no, that's my cat. Wait, that's my cat. But they realize that only Andrew can call the cat into the house because he's the one that killed her. So Andrew tries to call the cat in, but Thomasina remembers him as her murderer. But she decides she doesn't want revenge and she just wants to come home. So she jumps in the window in the
She's
rain.
been shown so much compassion by Lori.
Mm-hmm. So she jumps in the window. The poor cat probably has pneumonia now. Don't bring him.
That's not how you get pneumonia.
Don't bring her to the vet because. What do you mean? That's not how she got pneumonia. That's how Mary got pneumonia.
I know, but in the real world, that's not how it works.
I know that, but the signs all point the same way. Unless homegirl was already sick before she chased the cat.
She probably was because she had a very low immune system because she was basically lost all of her will to live because her cat was gone.
Yeah. So
she's alone.
But the cat is now reunited with Mary. Mary wakes up and says that both Thomasina and her father are alive again.
Mm-hmm.
And the next scene, we see Andrew and Lori, the witch, are getting married.
Because nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, I know. My aunt didn't. So the next scene, we see Andrew and Lori are getting married, Mr. and Mrs. Witch. And we see Mary all nicely dressed, and she's with Thomasina, all excited. And then Thomasina is sitting at the kitchen table, and she says that they all lived happily ever after. The end.
There needs to be a spin-off of this.
There might be.
Because with her compassion and his skill, if they work together at the vet office, do you know how many animals they could save?
Well, you can pitch it to Disney and be like, it's 60 years ago this movie came out. Now Disney. It's time for a sequel. Deep diving the magic pod at gmail.com. Yeah. 60 years ago. So what are your thoughts and your ratings and anything else that you might have come across?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did not, like I said in the beginning, I did not know what to expect. I thought it was going to be some strange, when you told me the title, I thought it was going to be some kind of strange story about a guy named Thomasina, like John Cena, and something was going to happen to him and we're going to have to, I don't know. I just thought it was going to be like a treacherous story, like some of like Treasure Island or something. And then I realized Thomasina was one name and it was about a cat, and it was actually a really good story.
About the love of a daughter and a cat and a father and a witch.
But I'm not going to lie, like your mother, I also thought they were going to kill the cat off again. I thought the cat was going to have to die a second time, but it just lived 3 lives. Mm-hmm. The first life with Mary.
Still got 6 more to go.
The second one with Lori, and the third one with their entire family together.
That's right.
Mary and Lori. Do you think she ever liked the vet? Mm-hmm. Or you think she was always like,
so what did you rate this?
I rated it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
So does this 8 out of 10 squeak its way? Does it reborn its way?
It does not reincarnate its way onto my list.
So then what is your cat killing list?
I wasn't done yet. IMDb gives it a 7.2 out of 10.
Okay, well then what is this IMDb 7.2 out of 10? That doesn't make your list upon a star. What is your list upon a star?
The same as it was last week.
Which is?
101 Dalmatians. The Parent Trap. Sleeping Beauty. Dumbo. Lady and the Tramp. The Three Caballeros. Moon Pilot. Should have went so much higher on my list, but it didn't. The Shaggy Dog. Peter Pan. Coming in at number 10. Alice in Wonderland.
So this was a fun film. I actually didn't think it was about a cat either. It was like even like the promotional pictures that I posted that'll be in the beginning of this film or in the beginning of this video. There's no pictures of a cat, so like I didn't know. But
well, I mean, at least you knew it was one name.
Yeah, I mean, you could have read about it too.
You just told me, the next movie we're watching is da-da-da-da, and I was like, oh, God.
Do your research. You are half of this podcast.
I know.
So this also does not make my list upon a star. My list upon a star is still the same through this film, but right now it is 101 Dalmatians, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, Babes in Toyland, Pinocchio, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Sleeping Beauty, Lady and the Tramp, and the Swiss Family Robinson. I have a lot of animal films, but not this animal film on there. But we would love to hear from you. We would love to know if you've seen this film, what your thoughts are, if you could see them getting married from the beginning, like like we did. But again, we are on Instagram, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube. If you're watching us right now, hello, and we are on email, deepdiveinthemagicpod@gmail.com. Our next film, for the 72nd film, we are going a little bit further into the year of 1964 up to July. We are reuniting with our friend Haley Mills in a film called The Moon Spinners. Have you heard about it? Are you excited about it? Let's talk.
Thanks for deep diving the magic.
Bye.
Bye.